Welcome back, students. So here I am your Arka sir. I have come with another new episode from the topic nutrition in biology. So let us start the today's topic. So today's topic is breathing and respiration. So before we start the chapter, let us clear the concept what is breathing and respiration and why it is required. Okay. So breathing actually is required through breathing. What we are doing, what our body is doing. Our body is taking the oxygen. Okay. So the purification of blood is done in our lungs. We have one pair of lungs. The purification of blood is done. What is the purification of blood? It will remove the carbon dioxide from it, okay, which will come from our body, okay, in the process of expiration. And when we are inspire the air, inspiration, okay, then it will take the oxygen, okay, the blood, and that oxygen will be supplied to all the cells in our body. Okay, so that is the main purpose of breathing. Okay, so the breathing is actually for taking the oxygen from the atmosphere. Okay, so what is now let us start. What is inspiration? What is inspiration? Okay, inspiration means means inside. So inspiration means when we are taking the air which is a greater amount of oxygen compared to the expiration air. Okay, so that process is known as inspiration. That means taking of air from atmosphere, okay, through our nostrils is known as the inspiration. And next is what? Next is what? Expiration. Expiration means removal of air from lungs to atmosphere. This process is known as expiration. Okay, so this is the two process, inspiration and expiration. What happened? The respiration are of two types. One is known as external respiration. What is external respiration? What is external respiration? When we are taking oxygen in our blood and releasing carbon dioxide from blood to the atmosphere. So the exchange of the gaseous materials with the atmosphere. This process is known as external expiration. Why? Because it is happening outside of our cell. Okay, outside of our cell. So that is, it is known as external expiration. So external respiration means the process in which we take O2 from atmosphere and release CO2 to atmosphere. So this process includes what? Both inspiration and expiration. This is the only two process. Okay, so this process includes the external respiration, includes both inspiration and expiration. And what is internal respiration? Internal respiration means the burning of food. What happened after digestion? The digestion chapter I uploaded. After digestion, the food will be the simple form of food will be absorbed by our cell, and that simple form of food, in presence or absence of oxygen, it will be burnt and release energy as the kinetic energy and the heat energy. So this process is known as the respiration, that is internal respiration, that in the help of some enzymes it will occur. So it is why internal respiration, because it happens inside the cell. So that is a huge chapter that I will discuss in details when I will go to that topic. So first, today our topic is external respiration. External respiration. So external respiration, two processes are there. One is known as inspiration, one is known as expiration. So we have some special organs. Before we start the human external respiration, let us discuss about the name of some special organs of some animals. Some animals have some special organs, to respire the air from atmosphere and to emit the air to the atmosphere. They have some special organs. Okay. So now first, body surface. Some animals are there which respire throughout the body surface. So they will take the air from the atmosphere and release the air which have more amount of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. So what are the examples? Example is amoeba, hydra, sponge. So these are the examples of the animal which respire through their body surface. Clear? Now gill. Aquatic animals, most of the fish, okay, raw fish, okay, most of the fish, so they have the respiratory organs, okay. So that respiratory organs, red color you can see in case of the fish, that is respiratory organ. So in case of fish, the respiratory organs is gill, most of the aquatic animals. In case of the snail, they also have the gill, so it is known as Ctenidia. The name of the gill of snail respiratory organ is known as Ctenidia. Okay. So the respiratory organ of prawn, crab, these are also aquatic animals. So they are known as book gill. Respiratory organ of prawn and crabs, they are known as book gill. Okay. So most of the aquatic animals, the respiratory organ is gill. So how the fish actually respire? The fish basically they live under water. So through their mouth what will happen? The water will come to enter and the gills are there, red in color. So the water will come through the gills, the water will flow on the gills. Okay. So what will happen? When the water will come and touch the gill, then and it will come out from the body, the fish will take water from their mouth and through gill it will come out. Now what will happen? When the water is flowing on the gills, then the gills have many blood vessels, gills have many blood vessels in it, and when the water is flowing on the gills, then that blood vessels will take the oxygen from the water which is dissolved and release the carbon dioxide to water. So when the water is coming out from their body through gills, then what will happen? That water contain more amount of carbon dioxide, because the oxygen will be, most of the oxygen will be absorbed by the gills, and the gills is full of the blood vessels and the oxygen will enter in the blood and that blood will be supplied to all the parts of their body of fish. Though the prawn and crab have the special type of gills which is also known as book gill. So these are their respiratory organs. Now some other type of respiratory organs are there. Some other respiratory organs are there. In case of the tadpole, okay. So in case of the tadpole and in case of spider, okay, instead of spider it is book lung, and in case of tadpole it is external gill. Okay. So the spider, the respiratory organ is book lung, and the tadpole, the respiratory organ is external gill. So these are some common questions that may come in the examination. Now let us move to the respiratory system of human. of human. Respiratory system of human. Okay. So what is the respiratory system of human? The organs which help in respiration process. The total organs together is known as the respiratory system of human. Now we will figure out what are the organs that will help in respiration process, that means inhalation and exhalation process, and the function of each. Okay. So we will discuss now. Now respiratory system of human. So these are the organs actually which are there. Some of the organs, okay, the nose we can see from outside, the internal part we cannot see. So what are the actually organs that will prepare the respiratory systems for human? The first one is the nasal passage. Nasal passage means the nose, okay, the total nose. The air will come in the at the time of the inspiration, so it will enter. So nasal passage have basically three parts. So first one is the external nares. External nares, one pair of external nares. That means the two holes are there in our nose through which we can take breathe in inspiration, and also we can release the breath in process of expiration. So this is the function of the external nares. Nasal cavity. Nasal cavity means the total path. After the external nares, the total path is known as nasal cavity. So nasal cavity have three parts. The first part is the first portion, after just like after the nasal external nares, the first part is the vestibular region. The first part is the vestibular region. What is the function of it? The vestibular region, that have sebaceous gland. This part have sebaceous gland which will secrete sebum. So it will just purify the air. When the air will enter from the atmosphere, this part will purify the air. Okay. So this is the vestibular region. Next is the respiratory region. The respiratory region, this part basically secretes the mucus. Okay, this part will basically secrete the mucus and make the air dry and hot. Okay. So whatever the air we are taking, so that part will be first vestibular region. This air will be purified, and here in the mucus it will be dry and it will make hot. It will mucus will be secreted from the respiratory region, that means the middle portion of our nasal cavity. So first portion is the vestibular region, and the next portion is the respiratory region. Okay. Vestibular region, respiratory region, and third portion, this last portion, that is known as the olfactory region. This portion is known as olfactory region of our nasal passage. Okay, olfactory region. So olfactory region basically help to smell the things, identify the smelling of the olfactory glands are there. That's why we can smell something, and also it will protect to enter the foul smell, okay, inside our respiratory system. Okay. So the olfactory region, basically the olfactory glands are there. So because of this presence of this gland, we can smell something. So if the questions come, why we can smell through our nose when we are taking breath, okay. So in the process of the inspiration, the answer will be due to the olfactory region, that is the last part of our nasal cavity. So that this part have the olfactory gland. That gland help us to sense the smell of anything, and also it will protect to enter the foul smell to our next trachea, okay, or respiratory tract. So this is the nasal passage. So hope it is understandable for you, the nasal passage. Next one is the respiratory tract. Respiratory tract means the path through which the air will now go to our lungs. The motto is the air should go to the lungs in the alveolus, where the purification of blood should take place. So the respiratory tract, the first part of the respiratory tract is larynx. So the internal, the olfactory region, that has the internal nares, that means the opening, and it will enter in the pharynx. Pharynx means the internal nasals will enter in the pharynx, and the pharynx will then, there is the larynx. Larynx means the holes where the pharynx will open at larynx. So that through that holes actually the air will come to glottis, and from glottis it will enter into trachea. The larynx actually the part which we can see from outside. Okay, so that is also known as the Adam's apple. So it is also known as the Adam's apple. Okay, it is situated just beside the thyroid gland. Just beside the thyroid gland is situated, and the larynx, it is also known as the Adam's apple. We can see it's just like apple structure. We can see from outside upon neck. So this is known as larynx. So larynx will meet on trachea with a holes. Through that the air will enter in the trachea. That holes is known as the glottis, and the glottis have one portion is there, that is known as epiglottis. That is known as epiglottis. Okay, that is known as epiglottis. So what happen when you are taking food, then the epiglottis will be closed, so that the food should not enter in the trachea. But when we are taking breath, then the epiglottis will be opened, so that the air can enter in our trachea. Okay, so trachea is nothing but the tube. Okay, from glottis it is a tube like pipe. So it is a tube like structure. So what will happen? The air will enter in it, and the trachea then splitted into two parts, because we have two lungs, then it will be splitted into two parts. So that is known as bronchus. Okay, so it will be splitted into two parts, and it will enter in our lungs, and then bronchus will be split into other multiple parts. Okay, so each part is known as bronchioles, and at the top of the tip of the bronchioles, we see flat regions like structures are there. So these structures are known as this structure full of what? Full of blood vessels. So this structure is known as alveolus. Okay, so very important, alveolus. So alveolus situated inside the lungs of the human, where the purification of blood will take place. So if the questions come, where the purification blood should take place or will take place, inside lungs, alveolus. So many of the students actually write kidney. Okay, but it is not correct. The purification of blood in human body takes place in lungs, and the exact place is the alveolus. So in the alveolus, the too many blood vessels are there, just like the gills of the fish. Okay, here we have the same thing, so many blood vessels are there in alveolus. So what will happen in the alveolus? The air will come. Okay, so now so this is the total respiratory systems of human. First one is the nasal passage. Nasal passage have the external nares, nasal cavity. Nasal cavity have three parts: first part, middle part, and the last part. So first part is vestibular region. Vestibular region purify the air. Second part is respiratory region. That will increase the temperature of the air, and also make the air dry, so the water vapor should not enter much. And olfactory region help us to identify the smell of any particle. Okay, so next one is internal nares. The next part, the last part of the nasal cavity is the internal nares, and it will open at pharynx. So pharynx will be connected with the larynx. Larynx means the part which you can see from outside. It is also known as the Adam's apple. Okay, so larynx will now have a hole through which it will be connected with the trachea. That hole is known as glottis, and the glottis have one membranous thing, that is known as epiglottis. So when you are taking food, that epiglottis will be closed, and when we are breathing, the epiglottis will be open, so that the air can insert into trachea. So the trachea will be split into two parts. Each part is known as the bronchus. So the bronchus will enter. Each bronchus will enter in our lungs. Okay. So inside the lungs, the bronchus will be split into many parts. That is known as bronchioles. And at the tip of the bronchioles, we have a flat-like structure which are full of blood vessels, and this part is known as alveolus. Okay. So in the alveolus, the exchange of the oxygen and carbon dioxide will take place with the blood. So the blood will take the oxygen from the air which enters in our lung, and release carbon dioxide that will mix with the air, and then it will come out from our body. So this process will happen inside the lungs. Now how the inspiration expiration process we will now discuss. Now before we discuss the inspiration and expiration, let us discuss some muscles which helps which helps in our respiration. This is also a very important question in the exam. Some muscles are there which help in our respiration. So first muscle is diaphragm, and the second one is intercostal muscle. Okay. So first muscle is diaphragm and the second muscle is intercostal muscle. So these are the two muscles which help in human respiration process. So now what is diaphragm, where it is situated, what is the function of it, and what is intercostal muscles, I will describe in details. Okay. So what is diaphragm? Diaphragm is a membrane which will differentiate the chest cavity and the abdominal cavity. It is in between the chest and the abdomen. That means the diaphragm is a membrane which will divide the chest cavity and or differentiate the chest cavity and the upper portion will be the chest cavity and the lower portion will be the abdominal cavity. Okay. So this is the diaphragm. Diaphragm is the membrane that situates in human which is in between the chest and the abdominal cavities. Okay, and which will separate the chest and the abdominal cavity. So this is the diaphragm. And intercostal muscles, we have 12 and 12, total 24 ribs are there. Okay, so we have 24 ribs in our chest. Inside this, the lung and the heart, inside this cage, okay, rib cage, the lungs and hearts are protected. That means it will help to protect it from the outside hazards. Okay, any injury, any hitting, okay, anything outside the hazards. So this rib cage is protected. Okay, so there are total rib cage is like this. There are total 12 from one side and 12 bones are from other side. Okay, the 12 are at one side and 12 bones are at the other side. So it will make the rib cage, and 12 bones are here, 12 bones are here. So total 24 bones are there. And in between the two bones, there are muscles. In between the two bones, there are muscles. Okay. So these muscles are known as intercostal muscle. So intercostal muscle situates in between the bones of the rib cage. Okay. So that is here the intercostal muscle situated. That means in our rib cage, the muscles in between the two bones, it will. And these bones are flexible. That means it can move up and also go down. Why? Because the muscles are there. So there is the contraction and expansion of the muscles which help the chest cavity to increase the volume or to decrease the volume. So that's why these muscles are have very important role in human respiration process. So these two muscles are there, diaphragm and the intercostal muscle. Now we will discuss about the process of inspiration. Inspiration means how the air is coming or entering in our lungs. So first step, that is inspiration. Okay, or in some book it is also written inhalation. It is also written as inhalation. Both are same, inspiration and inhalation. So what happened? The air, so first what happened? The diaphragm will go down. First the diaphragm will move downwards. Okay, that means it will move downwards. Clear? The intercostal muscles will contract. The intercostal muscles will contract. Okay, the intercostal muscles will contract. So what will happen? The rib will move outside. Okay, so as a result, what will happen? The ribs will move outwards. Okay, the ribs will move what? Upwards. So what happened actually? The diaphragm will move downwards and the rib will move upwards. So as a result, so by the action of these two, it will move downward and the ribs will move upward. So with the action of these two, what will happen? The volume of chest cavity will increase. What will happen? The volume of chest cavity will increase. Okay, the volume of chest cavity will increase. So as a result, the volume of chest cavity will increase. So what will happen? Now the expansion of lungs will take place. As the volume will increase, the lungs will be expanded. So two lungs will be expanded. Two lungs will be expanded. So if the two lungs will be expanded, then what will happen? Everything is related. It will go down, it will move up, the ribs, volume of the chest cavity will increase. Now the volume of chest cavity will increase, two lungs will be expanded. What will happen then? Then air inside the lung, air density inside the lung will be decreased. So the air density, okay, inside lungs will be decreased because the volume increased. Okay, it will be decreased. Now, so as the air density decrease inside the lungs, so what will happen? So from the nasal passage, nostrils, nasal passage, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchus, bronchiole, alveolus. This is the path. So through this path, the air will enter where? To alveolus inside our lungs. So what is the path? First of all, nasal passage, then where? From nasal passage to pharynx, to then what? From pharynx to it is larynx. Then glottis, then epiglottis, then trachea, then from trachea, then where? From trachea, you can say from trachea where it will enter. Trachea will split it into two parts. Each part is known as bronchus. Okay, so bronchus. From bronchus it will then bronchiole. So from bronchiole at last it will enter into alveolus. Or alveoli. It is the plural form and it is the singular form. Both are same. Okay. So this is what the path of the air from nasal passage to the alveolus that will enter. So now as the lungs are in expanded condition, so it will enter in this path in the process of inspiration. So inspiration process completed. So inspiration process to take the air from atmosphere to lung or up to the alveolus completed. Clear? Now what is the next process? Expiration. Expiration is the next process. So now what will happen? In the process of expiration, the diaphragm which was go down, so diaphragm will move up. It will move up. Then what happened? The rib cage that was expanded outside, now the intercostal muscles that will expand and the rib cage will go down. So intercostal muscle will expand and rib cage will go down. So as a result, in the combination of these two, what will happen? The chest cavity, volume of chest cavity will decrease. That means it will create a pressure on the two lungs. So the volume of chest cavity will decrease. So it will create a pressure on the lungs. So if you have a balloon in your hand, okay, full of air, and if you press it, and the beginning of the opening of the balloon is not tight, then what will happen? The air will come out from the balloon. Very simple logic. So it will give a pressure on the lungs. Why? Because the intercostal muscles will expand, so the rib cage will go down, as well as the diaphragm will go up, move up. So that means what? The volume of the chest cavity will decrease, and it will give a pressure on the lungs. So inside the lungs, because the air already has come in the process of inspiration, so it will, there more dense air is there, so it will create a pressure on the lungs, and the air, what will happen? The air will get a pressure. So what will happen in the reversed path? In the reversed path means what? Alveolus, then from alveolus bronchioles, then bronchus, then from bronchus it will move to trachea, then from trachea it will move to what? Epiglottis. That means it is now out from the respiratory tract. Then it will come in pharynx, then from pharynx, okay, it will come into nasal passage. So nostril, the air is coming out to atmosphere. Okay, so the air which has a greater amount of carbon dioxide compared to the air which we inhale. Okay, so the carbon dioxide from our body in the gaseous exchange will take place in alveolus, that will mix with the air, and the more amount of carbon dioxide mixed air compared to the air which we inhale, that will come out from our body in the process of expiration. So this is the two process, how the inspiration and expiration happen, and two muscles which will help in the process of human respiration, that means inhalation or inspiration and expiration. So intercostal muscles and the diaphragm, how they act and how this process continues. After expiration, again the inspiration, again the expiration, then again the inspiration. This process continues. Okay, so the breathing rate of human is approximate 15, okay, per minute. Okay, so the breathing rate of humans, okay, in a minute approximate 15 times. It may be a little less or little more for human to human. Okay, so these are the process of human respiration or human breathing. So I hope, so next video I will upload the respiration, internal respiration process, so that will take place inside our cell with the help of some enzymes. So I will upload that one. So I hope you understood this, how the inspiration and expiration process takes place, what are the organs we have, and how the expansion and contraction of the lungs take place, what are the muscles that help us for this process. So all things, I think if you can follow the videos from first to last, is very clear to you. So students, up to this today, so I am your Arka sir, my channel name is Physics Scholar. So subscribe my channel to get more this type of videos, and also like your comments, write your comments, so that I can come to know what type of videos you want to see. Thank you.